Families in Levelland say the bug infestation in their neighborhood is not only a nuisance, it's a danger to public health. Community members packed into tonight's city council meeting demanding their representatives take action.
KCBD News Channel 11's Brittany Crittenden was there and joined us now in the studio with their cry for help. Brittany?
Well, Shaylee and Abner, more than 15 people spoke at tonight's meeting in Levelland, calling for City Council to investigate where these bugs are coming from and deal with them. One resident told us the A&M AgriLife Extension agent there at Hockley County told her they were called red flower beetles. While she didn't even know what they were a few years ago, she's very familiar with this bug now.
They are in the attic of the house and they fall down when it becomes dusk, and in the morning we have to sweep, at night we have to sweep. We can't even cook in the house, can't eat in the house, they're just everywhere.
Ava Corgill lives in the Kaufman Addition in Levelland. It's just north of Highway 114 on the east side of town. This is her second year to deal with an infestation of red flower beetles. This year, it's been about 8 weeks of hundreds of bugs covering her home.
We have to take and vacuum our ceilings, vacuum our beds before we go to bed, and by the time we get up, they're all over us again.
Corgill says she's had pest control spray her house 4 times in that time frame, costing $150 for each one. She says she's tried to get help from the city, county commissioners, the state health department, and the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, adding up to a lot of phone calls.
Today was number 41.
Sunday night, Corgill and about 30 other residents met at the park to discuss the issue and what to do next. They decided to flood Monday's council meeting since one woman said she's asked and the city won't add the issue to its agenda. Most of the residents blamed the grain company right across the highway for the infestation.
This place was encouraged to build here in Levelland. I want to know who is going to step up to the plate and help us eliminate this problem. They were encouraged to come here, now encourage them to take care of their business.
Several mentioned the company has only been in Levelland a few years and say the bugs only became a problem after it started bringing almond hulls into town. Corgill says she brought her concerns to the city one Monday.
By Tuesday morning, this company that's in question, all the rows that they have that's across from the Kaufman Addition is completely covered in white powder, and they have been having trucks spray the ground daily.
Families told council members they're cleaning several times a day, paying repeatedly for pest control, are worried about property appraisals, finding bugs in their babies' diapers and their children's ears, are worried about kids getting bullied in school, embarrassed about bringing bugs into their work. One mom mentioned one of her kids in college won't even come to stay with her anymore.
And the reason I got really involved is because of the babies and the elderly. I can take care of myself, but they cannot. They don't have a voice.
And Levelland's interim city manager, Jose Cavazos, says the council couldn't address the issue tonight because it wasn't on the agenda. Cavazos says there are some ongoing cases regarding the beetles with the Code Enforcement Office. He says the city's working to find the source and doing everything it can to rectify the problem.
We're tired of it. Get the warrant. The warrant. Approach the warrant. As soon as you get that done. We're tired of hearing y'all talk.
A heated discussion in Levelland City Hall tonight as families in bug-infested homes begged for their representatives to take action. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
We first reported on the red flower beetle invasion in a Levelland neighborhood a week ago. In that report, we told you residents were complaining about waking up with these tiny insects crawling all over them in their beds.
Now we're hearing from the City Council about what it's done to stem the tide. KCBD News Channel 11's Brittany Crittenden was there as that update was followed by a flood of questions. Brittany?
Well, that's right, Karen and Abner. The people in the Kaufman Addition in Levelland are frustrated and they want answers. The city is now taking action to address the problem, but its citizens say it's a little too late.
If we resolve the bug problem, we're good to go, but otherwise we're we're going to sell the house and move away from Levelland.
Stan Lee's retirement dreams of moving back to his wife's hometown are slowly slipping away. Since red flower beetles invaded his home last year, he says they don't cook, eat, or keep food in the home. He spent hundreds on exterminators and sprays.
The exterminator told me Monday when he was here, he said, I can kill the bugs out in the house. Said, but you'll be calling me next week because they'll be back. You have to find the source and you have to get rid of that source.
Danny Rios and several other Kaufman neighbors believe they know that source, the grain company across Highway 114.
If these bugs were at the Levelland Country Club, inside that clubhouse, something would have been done about it a long time ago.
The two were ready to confront their council at Monday night's meeting, along with Claudia Maldonado. She's led the neighborhood's efforts and spent hours researching the issue.
They're only licensed to process cottonseed.
She says the grain company doesn't have the permitting to handle the large piles of almond hulls outside its facility. When questioned, interim city manager Jose Cavazos said there's currently not a permitting process in the state of Texas for almond hulls. The almond is considered the commodity. The hull is only trash. But it's considered treasure for the red flower beetles that feast on it. The city's emergency management coordinator, Cole Kirkland, says the city is at fault for not taking action when this was brought to its attention last year.
Seems to have been minimal and no mitigation action was taken. The lack of due diligence on the city's behalf, I believe is unacceptable. The red flower beetles.
Kirkland brought a list of tips to manage the beetles, like through weather sealing and bug zappers. For the people who have already spent hundreds of dollars, the advice went mostly unwanted.
What I'm hearing is that we've got to change the way we live for that crap.
Kirkland was put on the investigation Friday and says he's working to get the affidavit needed to get on the grain company's property so the holes can be tested for larvae. He says the company has said it's okay with the testing as long as it's done on every facility in the industrial park.
We'll do sample testing of every commodity facility in the industrial rail park, just as to cover all bases and cover all areas, ensure our due diligence that we don't miss the primary source or even a secondary source.
Kirkland says he hopes to get the affidavits and start that testing as soon as tomorrow. He says it's just a visual test to find the larvae, so it shouldn't take long to find that source. If it is that grain company, he recommends the city create an ordinance to regulate how it stores those hulls. Karen and Abner.
Preliminary reports have been released tonight regarding the infestation of red flower beetles in a Levelland neighborhood.
The city of Levelland and a Texas AgriLife entomologist completed sample testing for the pest in 3 facilities in the industrial rail park area. This after residents in the Kaufman addition reported for the 2nd year the tiny beetles are covering their floors, falling from their attics, and crawling on their skin in bed.
The residents blame the grain company across Highway 114 for the invasion, and this evening, an initial report from the City of Levelland Emergency Management Coordinator indicates the pests are present in all 3 industrial facilities in the area. But the city is waiting for an official report from the entomologists before taking any action to clear the infestation. The infestation of a Levelland neighborhood has prompted the city to draft a new ordinance regarding the storage of agricultural commodities. This comes after residents there in the Kaufman neighborhood first told KCBD in August that red flower beetles were swarming their homes.
KCBD News Channel 11's Brittany Crittenden has been tracking the city's investigation into the nuisance since then. She spoke with the city manager about how the city hopes to prevent it from happening again.
An empty lot lies in front of the Penny Newman Granary, a welcome sight for Levelland residents who have dealt with these red flower beetles for months.
It's something that, it's been challenging and it's been frustrating because I know our residents are frustrated, and there's sometimes challenges and issues come up that really we don't have jurisdiction over. but we're the front line. We're the ones that citizens come to for help and assistance.
City Manager James Fisher, who was appointed in August, says he'll be the first to admit the city did not respond quickly enough to their concerns.
But we've learned from it. We're still going to sit down and have an after-action time period to kind of look at everything that we did as staff and then internally see what we need to do better to make sure we take care of our residents and make sure that when they bring a concern to us, we respond accordingly.
The city drafted an ordinance to help regulate the storage of agricultural commodities in the industrial park in city limits. That includes requiring these facilities to have an integrated pest management plan.
We have the ability to go and review that plan with them, talk about it, and look at how we can do things better.
The ordinance would regulate storage conditions, insecticide treatments, and the city's access into the facility for inspections. If a nuisance is declared, the property owner would have 10 days to abate it, or the city could take action and send the business the bill. The business would have 180 days to come into compliance before being issued a citation.
We're trying to find the right answers. We're trying to take care of our residents. And at the same time, we're trying to work with our businesses because we need our businesses to have a good, strong, thriving community. But we've also got to make sure that those businesses are friendly.
The city wants businesses and residents to provide feedback and send any questions about the ordinance by Thursday. The first reading will be at the City Council meeting at 6 o'clock next Monday. Brittany Crittenden, KCBD News Channel 11.
Well, tonight we're learning more about the communication between city leaders in Levelland and the Penny Newman Grain Company. KCBD News Channel 11's Brittany Crittenden has been following the beetle infestation in a Levelland neighborhood and the city's proposed ordinance to keep them from coming back since August.
She joins us in the studio now with the steps Penny Newman has taken to keep this ordinance from going into effect as is. Brittany?
Well, Karen and Abner, the proposed ordinance that would regulate agricultural commodities was tabled in a November council meeting. Penny Newman has written a letter and even hosted Levelland city leaders in California to make sure changes are made.
I went ahead and took the liberty of printing out a letter that was previously sent.
4 days before David Rice, a Penny Newman employee, handed Levelland City Council members this letter, the company sent it to City Manager James Fisher. After I filed an information request, we're getting a closer look at its contents.
We made a big investment in this community.
The letter explains Penny Newman came to Levelland because of its rail availability and its central location in the cotton growing and ginning region. It began importing almond hulls to ship to local farmers for livestock feed due to the drought and lack of local feed ingredients. The letter details what Penny Newman claims has been its economic impact in Levelland, like offering feed ingredients that aren't typically available in Texas, boosting revenue by utilizing local businesses, and offering jobs.
We want to be a good neighbor. We've operated here for a lot of years without any problems.
It also outlines the company's issues with the proposed ordinance. It argues there's no definition for infestation mitigation and that companies should be able to implement their own treatment methods depending on specific products and pests. Employee Curtis McGill spoke about this in the November meeting.
If it takes away our ability to treat other pests in an appropriate way, I think it could have an adverse and unintended effect on other pests in the future.
It also questions the city's proposed use of pheromone traps, citing they could draw insects to the commodities.
There's a lot, I think, that needs to be looked at. We're asking that we look at it holistically.
Along with providing comments in council and writing the letter, Penny Newman invited Levelland leaders to a meeting in California. These texts and emails detail the invitation sent in October and the trip agenda for November 13th and 14th after the ordinance was tabled. It indicates Fisher and Levelland Economic Development Corporation Director Justin Balderas flew to the Penny Newman facility in Fresno for a tour and a meeting. As Fisher said in the town hall we covered last month, he's glad Penny Newman, the city, and residents are all working together to discuss a path forward. He says it's all part of the process to writing an ordinance that protects citizens and businesses. The city is working to get something in place before the spring when warmer temperatures return. Karen and Abner.